right, some breaking news. The Supreme Court allowing states to cut off Medicaid money for Planned Parenthood over its status as an abortion provider. This decision coming in a 6-3 ruling, and it centers on funding for other health care services Planned Parenthood provides in South Carolina. The ruling, though, could have broader implications for the entire country. Let's bring in Zach Schoenfeld now, courts and legal reporter with our partners at The Hill. How critical was this case? Tell us more about the decision and what the justices said.
Good morning, Marni. This was a major case, as you mentioned, 6-3 decision here along ideological lines. The Supreme Court today paving the way for states to exclude Planned Parenthood from their Medicaid programs. The Supreme Court today ruling 6-3 in favor of South Carolina, one of these Republican-led states that has attempted to exclude Medicaid patients from getting care at Planned Parenthood. This case all came down to, does Planned Parenthood and patients, do they have the right to challenge this under a provision of federal civil rights law? In this majority decision, which was authored by Justice Neil Gorsuch, Donald Trump's first appointee to the court, he said that they cannot move forward in this lawsuit under this civil rights law. Justice Gorsuch writing at length here in this opinion, saying that the civil rights law can only be invoked in very rare circumstances, and that these laws, they actually have to unambiguously give these plaintiffs the right to bring these kinds of cases. And he looked to the Medicaid Act and said he just didn't see it here in this statute. So the bottom line, this is going to most immediately pave the way for South Carolina to keep excluding Planned Parenthood from its Medicaid program. But you've got to imagine, Marni, that there's a lot of other state leaders across the country looking at this decision, seeing this decision as a green light, that they can do the same.
Right. What are the broader implications here, Zach?
You know, the broader implications here really does come down to where can patients who are Medicaid recipients, where can they get their care? Medicaid allows patients to go to what is called any qualified provider. So the way South Carolina is trying to exclude Planned Parenthood here is saying that Planned Parenthood is not a qualified provider, just like, you know, your ordinary doctor's office. So because of that, you know, we saw the plaintiffs trying to argue that that was not legal, that did not follow the Medicaid Act, and that was illegal. The Supreme Court's decision doesn't even get into that because they said that they have no right to sue in the first place under that civil rights statute, that they didn't need to address it. So it does seem at this point that there may not be any legal pathways left for people to bring these challenges. So the Supreme Court not explicitly saying what South Carolina is doing here is legal, but really the practical effect here is this really paves the way for states across the country, if they so choose, to exclude Planned Parenthood or any other providers that they don't want to include in state Medicaid plans. So this really will have a major impact for those millions of Medicaid recipients across the country.
Finally, Zach, the dissenting justices, what were their legal arguments?
Yeah, the three liberal justices here, all in dissent, saying that they believe that this case should have been able to move forward. They ruled here in favor of both Planned Parenthood, South Atlantic. They had sued in South Carolina, but they were also joined by an individual patient who wanted to transfer some of her care to Planned Parenthood, but because South Carolina was making this exclusion, she was prohibited from doing so. Now, the liberal justices in this dissent, you know, not necessarily saying even if they were allowed to continue, you know, what would necessarily happen. But if it were up to the three Democratic appointees on the court today, they would have allowed this lawsuit to move forward and potentially get them a victory here and potentially strike down this South Carolina exclusion.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.